Perfect. And we are rolling. All right, welcome, Myles.
Yeah.
Um, and welcome everyone else to the second to last day of our fall series of the Youth Power PDX Speak Up, Sing Out event. Um, Today we will be featuring Myles Saucedo and a climate justice activism panel and 3 more artists this evening. My name is Rena Marthaler. My pronouns are she or they, and I will be your host for this evening. Welcome, Myles. How you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you. Do you mind introducing yourself? Just your pronouns, a little bit about your work.
Yeah. I'm Myles Saucedo. My pronouns are he and him. And a little bit about my work is I like to write about things that I see in life or experience. And I try to help people out through music. But then I also just love making music to turn up. I mean, just everything.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm before we start, I just wanted to, ask a few questions about yourself. How would you describe your identity and your background?
My background. Well, first, I am half Hispanic and half Native American. So my background is a lot like spiritual. So I'm always into the soulful music growing up because we would listen to that. So my background has a lot to do with music that I'm making now because I have an older soul, people say, for my music, because listening to the greats like Tupac, everyone remembers their music. So it's why not make music that's great like this?
Yeah, of course. Awesome. And I guess you answered that question a little bit, but what impact more so has that identity had on your music?
Um, the impact was a little hard because trying to make music, being both those races, is not really known. So it was a little difficult at first, but once I got through it, really taught me to power through adversity and just keep going, whether if someone doesn't like it or they do. I mean, I'm just gonna focus on the good, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And I guess one more thing before we get started, is there a place where people can find your work or your socials online?
Yeah, on Instagram you can follow me at miles.saucedo, and my music you can find on all platforms. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well,
So we
whenever
want.
you're ready.
All right. So this first song is kind of like a rock song that I've been working on. So it's a new kind of vibe. So I hope y'all like it. I'm on my fun shit, break shit. I'm busting on your playlist. Riding with my homies, so I know you ain't gon' say shit. Fake bitch. She messing with my feelings. Ain't got a heart of gold, but her looks are still appealing. Yeah, but while I'm riding like a rock star, passing all my limits, cause we running from a cop car. Yeah, but inside I am a monster, breaking all the rules, but I still don't give a fuck, bruh. You keep on running, but I know that you stuck now. Shining on my wrist, it's a VV, a bust down. Hey, don't be giving many fucks now. Riding with my family and the homies with a roof down. I'm crazy, running like a baby. Just maybe you can save me. I'm crazy, feeling all crazy. Doing drugs so my father learned to hate me. You keep on running, but I know that you stuck now. Shining on my wrist, it's a VV, a bust down. Don't be giving many fucks now. Riding with my family and the homies with a roof down. I change cause you always be a freak at night. I pray to the angels that I see so bright. One day you'll see my name on the New York Times. Yes, mama, trust your baby, we gon' be just fine. You keep on running, but I know that you stuck now. Shining on my wrist, it's a VV, a bust down. Don't be giving many fucks now. Riding with my family and the homies with a roof down. 1, 2, 3, 4. You keep on running, but I know that you stuck now. Shining on my wrist, not to BB, a bust down. Hey, Don't be giving many fucks now. Riding with my family and the homies with a roof down. I'm crazy, feeling like a baby. Just maybe, baby, you can save me. I'm lacing, feeling types of crazy. Doing drugs so my father learned to hate me. You keep on running, but you feel like you're stuck now. Facing all my demons with the shot that I put down. I just thought you should know now. The substance that controls you could be so hard to put down. Hey, you keep on running, but I know that you stuck now. Shining on my wrist, it's a VV, a bust down. Don't be giving many fucks now. Riding with my family and the homies with a roof down. I'm crazy, feeling like a baby. Just maybe, baby, you can save me. I'm lacing, feeling types of crazy. Doing drugs so my father learned to hate me. So that is the first song called Save Me and Hate Me. It's going to be on the mixtape, but that's more like a rock song to change it up a little bit. So I hope y'all like that. And then this is another song that's going to be on the mixtape called Patient. So. I know you're patient, but I'm just trying to get beyond that. Conversations with myself be cutting all black. And to the haters, I know you always talking all that. I work hard so y'all get mad when I push y'all back. With all the rumors, you told me I don't have to change a thing. Went from Polo H&M to designer things. Doing shows, I'm just trying to make history. Tell me why bands don't mean shit to me. Yeah, this ain't a game, this my life. I'm just trying to make it right. Spark a blunt, hit the lights. I'm just trying to fly. Hold the gun, keep it tight, cause it might just save your life. Nowadays, all the legends seem to die. Every night I just ride by my lonely. When I'm on tour, I bring my fam and my homies. A crazy year, I tell my nephew my stories. It's kind of crazy how these bitches adore me. I count my cash, yeah, I'm stacking it up. Importantly, I'm still filling my cup. Sleep on the kid cause I'm fucking shit up. Cause I'm going down for it now, I'm busting out a 40 round. All the homies wanna know where I'm hanging. I got the loudest pack in some shatter, we blazing. I rap for her and she say I'm amazing. Put me on stage with the speakers, we banging. This ain't a game, this my life. I'm just trying to make it right. Spark a bun, hit the lights, I'm just trying to fly. Hold the gun, keep it tight, cause it might just save your life. Nowadays, all the legends seem to die. Me and my homies used to rap on the porch. Fantasizing dreams, man, we always wanted more. Looking at G's, watch them selling on the court. Wonder what it is, man, that's the shit that you ignore. Woke up with no bed, I was sleeping on the floor. I remember those days, cops were banging on the door. Asking for my brother, I don't say shit, that's for sure. I take my family out the projects cause we always wanted more. This ain't a game, this my life. I'm just trying to make it right. Spark a blunt, hit the lights, I'm just trying to fly. Hold the gun, keep it tight, cause it might just save your life. Nowadays, all the legends seem to die. I know you're patient, but I'm just trying to get beyond that. Conversations with myself be cutting all black. And to the haters, I know you always talking all that. I work hard so y'all get mad when I push y'all back. With all the rumors, you told me I don't have to change a thing. Went from Polo H&M to designer things. Doing shows, I'm just trying to make history. Tell me why bands don't mean shit to me. Yeah. So that's my second song, Patient. And my last song that I'm gonna do is called Heart of My City, that I recently wrote. So I'm gonna be looking at my phone, so I don't wanna hear anything from anybody hearing it about me being on my phone. So here it is. Hey, as a kid, mama told me just to look up. I'm grinding every day. My daddy told me count my push-ups. It's like these girls are only here to hook up. I hate it because every time I seem to love, my heart gets beat the fuck up. Yeah, was in and out of court. My brother went to jail so many times we called it a sport. Yeah, we running from the cops. Just some bad boys kicking down the local spot. Yeah, but when will it stop? I lost my hunger, Linda crashing out. She's in my heart. Damn. Rest in peace to them. I will make it for my city and for all my friends. Yeah, I got so much passion. My life is so fucking crazy. It's just like an electric. Damn, it might be part of the plan to make my life a living hell. God, I do understand. Yeah, you make my life hard as hell. And when I reach my breaking point, my sins are lost in veil. Hell, my sins are lost at sail. If only memories could do the same, I'd be so well. Fail. Right to my knees. God, I'm at my breaking point. Well, won't you help me, please? I'm on my own 2 feet. God, help me get up and let the rest for me. As a kid, mama told me just to look up. I'm grinding every day. My daddy told me count my push-ups. It's like these girls are only here to hook up. I hate it because every time I seem to love, my heart gets beat the fuck up. Yeah, was in and out of court. My brother went to jail so many times we called it a sport. Yeah, we running from the cops, just some bad boys kicking down the local spot. Yeah, as time had passed, as a kid, I was always rhyming in my class. I guess time goes fast, now I'm rhyming in a booth, smoking on my stash. Blue hundreds on her ass, I'ma pass a bitch off just like Steve Nash. Thank God I'm not in the past, I swear God had a warrant just on my ass. My life is stuck in the glass. It's like everyone is watching it and judging so fast. 200 AB racks. I'm not a scientist, but I'm still speaking facts. Khalifa, that be gas. Yeah, we rolling one up and then get stuck in the past. The money rolls in fast. I got a roses on my wrist. It's called the ticking glass. As a kid, mama told me just to look up. I'm grinding every day. My daddy told me count my push-ups. It's like these girls are only here to hook up. I hate it because every time I seem to love, my heart is beating the fuck up. Yeah, was in and out of court. My brother went to jail so many times we called it a sport. Yeah, we running from the cops. Just some bad boys kicking down the local spot. And that is my song, Heart of My City.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Now I know you had a set with us a few days ago and I really wanted to go because I wanted to hear you, but I couldn't. And I'm so lucky I get to host now and hear it. It's really sick. I can see that you pour a lot of soul into your music.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
All right. So are you ready for a couple of interview questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wicked. So I'm curious, what are some issues of today that are important to you?
Like I said in my last one is like dividing people by race. I hate that. I mean, everyone's just equal and I'm gonna do my best with my music to try to put everybody together because right now with quarantine and everything is hectic and I just feel like people need to come together and I'm gonna use music to try to do that the best I can.
Yeah, of course. So I guess with, especially racial equality, that ties a lot into one of the core values of this group and this event, which is like intersectionality. So, something that you've probably already answered for us, but I just want to, know again, what does intersectional youth power mean to you?
Intersectional youth power to me would probably be like, it's like everyone is just equal. I mean, I'm not really familiar with like a lot of things because I try to keep myself with everybody. I don't really like to divide people, so I didn't really like look at things like that. So intersectional health and just everybody being together, being youth, no matter what color you are, what like sexuality you are, no matter what you are, everybody's perfect. And that like love is love at the end of the day. And that people are people and that we're all equal at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Have there been events in your life or people that have like helped guide you to your current place and your opinions?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Andre Middleton and my family have really pushed me to like stay on the right path and not go to anything else because I've witnessed firsthand with personal family what the wrong thing can do and what they can do to your family. So it's like my family really showed me the rights and wrongs of what I should be doing. So, and I use the negative to put it in music. So, yeah, so they were definitely a big part of me making my music.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, well, I guess how do those like rights and wrongs come out in your music? Let me rephrase that a little bit. I like turning it back to music. What is your process for writing songs with such meaning?
I mean, usually when I start to write, I'm in a lot of mental like awareness of like what's going on. So like with my brother, such as in the heart of my city, my brother would be getting locked up a lot and not doing the right thing, and I'd have to be visiting jails and the courts and seeing all that system, like the correctional like facility. And when I say my brother went to jail so many times, we called it a sport. That's me trying to put a positive on a negative. But also, if anybody else my age has like an older sibling that wasn't doing good at that time, they could listen to this song and be like, damn, I'm not the only one. Like his brother was doing it, but he can still do the good thing, you know?
Totally. Yeah. No, it's great that you have a message that you're channeling through your music. So I guess one of my last questions will be, what advice would you have to for aspiring musicians or even just, aspiring human beings?
Oh man, that's a great question. One thing I'd say to musicians is don't listen to anybody and on what they say because they can hate on you as much as they want. But at the end of the day, if you love it and it makes you happy and that's what you want to do, then do it. Honestly, you only live once. It's like, might as well shoot for the stars. If you miss, you're still with the stars. I mean, it's funny how stuff works because I never thought I was going to be doing this. I never thought this. People would make fun of me at school, say I wasn't that good, but I mean, the same people are not coming to me telling me that I'm doing a great job. So it's like, keep doing what you love, and in time, everyone has their chance. So that goes for everybody. So whatever you do in life, make sure you love that shit for everything. And imagine yourself waking up every day that you can do that and that you're going to be happy because being happy at the end of the day is the most important thing.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. No, that's really great to hear, especially as a musician myself. Um, so just once again, where can people find you on socials or music?
Like I said, on Instagram at myles.saucedo, and I got music on SoundCloud, just Myles Saucedo, and Apple Music and Spotify, it's just Myles Saucedo. So look it up, listen to it, jam out. If I'm out on the road and you're listening to it, I'm gonna be yelling at you, saying that you're bumping my song. But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the performance and sharing your take. It was really incredible.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, of course. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Coming up next, we've got a panel on youth, climate justice, and activism. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name again is Rena Marthaler. My pronouns are she or they, and right now I will be hosting the Youth Climate Justice panel for our 5th day in the Youth Power PDX event. Before I introduce our guests, I'd like to talk a little about a partner organization, Pear Visual Art Gallery. Is linked on our Youth Power PDX website. These pieces that you can see right here were created by Unhoused Youth through PAIR, a Portland-based organization that mentors Portland's homeless youth to affirm personal worth and create healthier lives and communities. You can contact William Kendall via that email listed right there, and please go ahead and check out that art. All right. While I spotlight everyone, I would like to welcome all of our guests to the Youth Climate Justice going crazy, panel. Everyone, I was wondering if y'all could take it away by introducing yourself, your name, your pronouns, and a little bit about your identity.
Okay, I can start. My name is Shreya Chinam. I like to go by she, her pronouns. I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon, and I'm a first generation American. I went to Lincoln and graduated this past year, and now I'm going to UC Davis as a freshman in college.
Awesome, thank you, Shreya.
Hi, my name is Holly. I use she, her pronouns. I also graduated from Lincoln last year, and I'm currently taking a gap year. So I'm working on different farms right now.
Awesome, thank you, Holly.
Hi, I'm Anika. I use she, her pronouns, and I currently go to Lincoln High School as a senior. I'm 17 years old, and I'm really excited to be here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Yenna. I'm a senior at Cleveland High School. My pronouns are she, her. I'm also a first gen kid, and I have a low income background. I'm half Korean. I don't know. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am under the impression that y'all are connected through the same organization or affiliation. And I wanted to know what youth climate justice movements in Oregon specifically have you been a part of or witnessed?
Yeah, so I know that Shreya, Anika, and I, we were all in Lincoln. We were working together in the environmental justice class that we have there. So that's kind of how we started organizing together, and then through Sunrise as well, Sunrise PDX. So that's mainly how us three work together. And then I've worked with Yenna during work with Renew Oregon and organizations like that.
Yeah, I mainly work with Sunrise PDX. I'm the Teen Caucus coordinator, as well as I was one of the fellows this last summer. I've worked with 350, like Shreya and I worked on the strike together. Rena, we worked a lot with like PPS together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they covered pretty much all of them. Other than that, I've worked with the PPS, climate justice committee with that, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I guess Holly really covered it all. Renew Oregon was probably the most prominent organization I worked with some really cool experiences.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's a lot of incredible work that you all are doing. And I'm just wanting to know what inspired you to become a climate justice activist and get involved in all these communities.
Well, for me personally, the first time I really started getting into this was seeing the first climate strike, the youth-led climate strike. And that was really inspiring just to see like my classmates organizing something like that big and that impactful. It really like, it made me just like feel like, wow, oh my gosh, like you can do this and I can do this in high school. So that's really what caught my eye at first. And then I remember going to a Sunrise meeting, which Shreya had recommended to me. And I just like immediately was so in love with like the message that they sent and their focus on hope and solution oriented work. And especially the direct action aspect. So I definitely just felt very like empowered and wanted in that space, especially being a youth. I didn't know, I've never really felt like qualified, you know, to speak on such big issues, or I've never felt supported. And through the climate strikes and Sunrise, I just definitely started to, feel empowered and feel like I want to be a part of something like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And real quick, could you tell me a little bit about Sunrise and what they do?
Yeah, so they're like an organization that's all around the country. They kind of have a unified message of climate justice, and they support different organizations and different youth in doing whatever, climate strikes, different direct actions specifically to support climate justice and different justice movements. I don't know if you guys have anything to add about Sunrise and what they do.
Yeah, Sunrise is actually the organization that started the Green New Deal with AOC. They do a lot of work with different local political campaigns around the country, like supporting a bunch of progressive candidates and really being successful. Like they helped Ed Markey beat out the Kennedy not like too long ago. Yeah, what they do is like they change common narratives around climate justice, around like they work a lot with like clean jobs and sustainable energy and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, anybody else, just going back to what inspired you to be a climate justice activist?
Yeah, so I think for me, it was like my junior year of high school, and I was taking courses at Lincoln, and I started learning about climate change, but it was kind of like, it was rather than the science aspect of it, I was learning about like the social justice and like racial justice and like economic justice, like, or injustice aspect of climate change and how that's affecting people all across the world. And so I think that really like pushed me to like want to do something about it. So I joined like the environmental justice club at my school, and it kind of like got started there. And I really started going to different meetings and started organizing, started meeting people from different schools. And yeah, I think for me, it was like learning about what's going on, and that kind of just really pushed me.
Yeah, so for me, I got to talk to this kid who transferred to Lincoln High School and had to immigrate because she was a refugee of the climate crisis. And that really took me by surprise because I didn't realize it was a problem now. Like I didn't know people were being affected by climate change now. And hearing her story was really inspiring to me. And it made me want to get involved and join the club that Shreya led at our school and the classes that our school had.
Yeah, for me, it was, I'd been constantly learning about climate change as this inevitable fact of our futures and like something our generation was just gonna have to deal with. I've grown up and I live in a neighborhood with a lot of pollution, and I'm like part of the communities that kind of like feel it a lot, at least in this city, like right here, like with my neighborhood. So I felt like a lot of climate grief, you know, like we all kind of deal with that question, like I guess it is just like questionable, like our futures, and so much is uncertain right now. And it was just a way for me to reclaim my own power, and like getting involved making me feel like I was contributing to the movement was a way for me to really feel hopeful. Like that's also one of the things I love about Sunrise is they have this value of like radical optimism of like, you know, always believing in the end everything's going to be okay. And it's just that kind of outlook really kind of changed my life, and it was that kind of really drew me to the work.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that actually brings me to my next question, which is how has your work developed and changed your opinions over climate justice and issues that are related to it?
I'd say I became a lot more radical. I started my work kind of when I was a liberal, and I'm like a leftist. I think it definitely pushed me that way.
I definitely agree with Yenna. I started off as a liberal and I feel like I'm definitely a leftist now. And I'm kind of like, I think my political views have changed as I've like learned more about the climate movement and just like through organizing. I feel like I've learned a lot about just like the world in general and just like even little things about like having like show compassion to others and like how to like have a nice conversation with someone, how to really like be an active listener and to like listen to understand. Also just like little things have definitely changed since I've been organizing and I've been a part of the climate justice movement.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that changed for me is probably like knowing that I don't have to wait for someone else to do something about this problem. Like going back to that idea of empowerment, I just felt like, okay, finally I can take this in my own hands and I can organize what I want to see. And there's other people that want to do this too. Like the sense of community is like super, super, super valuable.
Yeah, so I personally support like the Green New Deal on the national level. And I guess that makes me a very progressive person. But at the same time, I do want to be able to talk to people and hopefully like come to a middle with other people with different ideas than me. But I don't know. I don't know how I would label myself. But yeah, somewhere in the mix of it.
Yeah, no, I found it really interesting that a lot of you brought up politics. I know, at least for me, when I started learning about climate justice and movements surrounding that, I was like, oh, it's not a political issue. And then I started to learn more about consumer blaming and that it's not totally about shortening your showers and not using straws. And I guess I want to know, how has your work been involved in politics, or rather, how has politics affected your work so far?
I think I can speak on this. I worked very closely with PPS, Portland Public Schools, like the district, and just like people there in order to get climate education from kindergarten through 12th grade schools in our school district. And I felt like, I guess I wouldn't say necessarily this is like politics, but I feel like something that's really prominent in our system is just like bureaucracy and how slow and inefficient change, like how like slow and inefficient change happens, and just having it go through every single level rather than having like the power be at the bottom, or I guess like among the people, and it's like the powers at the top making change really hard and slow. Not necessarily about politics, but I think that's something that I've definitely noticed. But yeah.
Yeah, in my work with Sunrise, actually, a lot of what they do, which I wasn't as familiar with that aspect of it, was working with like local politics and within like the local community, and especially on the like lowest levels, like the city council or something. You know, a lot of times we focus on the federal government or the state government, but there's so much. I feel like the most accessible for like the average person to really create change is with like the local, like within their city, even like within Portland. And in my work, I've started getting a lot more involved because of Sunrise, because they're constantly working with different campaigns, with different like, I don't know, like this last summer, I organized 2 different town halls around racial justice and climate justice, all with like local city council candidates. And yeah.
Yeah, so last year when I was working with Renew Oregon, I actually got the opportunity to like hop in a bus with a bunch of students with the same thinking as I did. And we got to talk to our state representatives, our senators, and even Governor Kay Brown. And it was such a surreal experience. And I got to like, and listening to these people push back on these students, but then students push against them in arguments and debates. It was such a great experience, and eventually we got our way. So I don't know, it was really inspiring, and I could see how children and youth have so much power.
Yeah, I agree with what all of you have been saying. I think for sure all this stuff is connected to politics, because ultimately a huge part of the reason that we're having the problems that we are with the climate and with justice in general is our laws and our lawmakers are not representing the issues that we want to see represented. So through organizing, I think you have the opportunity to, like Yana was saying, like meet with your local lawmakers and kind of like put a face to this person that's making these decisions for you, and vice versa, they get to know you. So it's definitely very connected on a lot of levels. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's incredible, and I always love to hear more of the work that you all are doing. I'm so inspired. So what do you think is an important next step in youth climate activism, whether that be, attitudes for people or an initiative, yeah, or something that y'all are working on?
I think it all starts from the ground up, right? With the grassroots movements. And with I think the first thing to do is just get involved locally, and always just direct action, like Holly was saying earlier, and just attending protests, attending events, organizing them, getting involved, trying to change things at your school or something, or just anything. I think people underestimate how much power just one person, how much one person can really, how much change they can create. And I think that's so important to emphasize.
Yeah, for me personally, for my personal activism, I've been focused more towards food sovereignty and kind of that aspect of climate justice. And like what you were saying, I think it's important to go down to the grassroots level, meet people where they're at, speak to people and make relationships. And so I think, hands-on organizing and networking with different people and getting outside of your bubble as well. I mean, if that's who you can reach, that's great, but also getting outside of your comfort zone and talking to people who have different identities as you and different lifestyles and, who maybe don't agree with you on that stuff. I think it's really valuable to talk to people, especially who don't agree with you, which I think is one of the shortcomings of the climate movement, can be a lot of shaming of people's morals and their values, which I think kind of makes the divide get even bigger. So personally, that's something I'm focusing on, is trying to talk to people who maybe really don't agree with me and being okay with that and then going from there.
I think a big thing to wait, can we restate the question, please?
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious, what is an important next step in youth climate activism?
Okay, I just want to make sure I got it right before I said something and it didn't make sense. I think a big important next step is just to keep inspiring people, and especially in schools, and just kind of I think the power is definitely with the youth. I think I read this quote one time, and it was the youth make 25% of the population, but they make up 100% of the future. And I think I think that quote definitely would change my outlook. The youth are definitely here to fight for justice and to fight for a future that they want. So I think it starts in schools, and it starts with little things for sure. I think inevitably, when you start getting into the climate crisis and just start learning about everything that's happening, I feel inevitably people are really scared and don't know what to do, because it's such a big problem, affecting every single aspect of our lives. But I think focusing on just little things, not little things oh, I should take shorter showers, but stuff oh, I'm going to change things as Yenna and Holly have said, on a local politics vibe, then definitely things are definitely going to get better. So getting involved with clubs, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I can actually add on to that. So personally, I've been focusing on the political side of things. So like every year there's a legislative session, and every year there's some kind of grassroots organization. I know 350 is supporting this one campaign for clean jobs, cleaner air, all that stuff. And they're launching this campaign in January. And people can just research this stuff and get involved. And I know they're having a launch party in January. So if you're interested, you could totally check that out. And yeah, it's a great way of getting involved.
Awesome. Well, actually, yeah, that brings me to our next question, which is, what are some ways that, you know, an individual can get involved? How are ways that you all started getting involved?
Yeah, so I just organized the PDX Youth Climate Summit for the city along with a bunch of other really cool youth. And one of the workshops we had was called Mapping Our Roles, you know, like finding your role within the movement. You have to, like, maybe you're a person who works really well with like logistics, like, you know, how to take an event and like really make it happen, like, and realize that vision. And those are people who can be like really amazing. And then maybe you're like Annika, you really like working in politics or something, or maybe you're like a creative person and you want to work with videography or something, or graphics. It's really about like finding your strengths and then playing those up and using those, and then also what you love to do. And I think also just really supporting the community. I don't know. Wait, what was the question again? Honestly, I got a little lost.
Oh no, you're good. I just wanted to know what are some ways that an individual can start getting involved, and how did you begin getting involved?
Yeah, I got involved through kind of social media flyers and that's how I attended this meeting with 350. They're kind of calling out to youth who are interested in getting involved. And then I started organizing the strike. And then it just went from there. I think people should reach out, find spaces where they like I like Sunrise, like that's where I feel so comfortable. And finding an organization, there's so many in Portland to get involved with that you can volunteer with. And also participating in like mutual aid actions or something is something that you can do to really get involved. I feel like benefit the community.
Yeah, I really agree that Sunrise, I think, is a really good place to get started because it can be kind of intimidating to just like go into organizing work because you're like, yeah, what's my role? What am I doing? Who are these people? But Sunrise is so like, you can just kind of go and observe, or you can be a part of it, or you can, whatever you want to do, like there's a place for you and you are very, very welcome. And that's like one of their, I'd say, biggest focuses is to make sure that's like how everyone is received. So that's a really good place to start. And I know they have meetings pretty frequently. So yeah, you can definitely look into that. So Sunrise is a good jumping off point. And then I feel like you can kind of get to know more organizations and network with people through there.
Yeah, kind of like I was saying earlier, I feel like if you're in school, definitely like either creating a club that's like fundraising or like talking to Sunrise and stuff like that, or like joining a club that already exists in your school, or also joining Sunrise would be a great place to start. Sunrise is great because I feel like they have a place for everybody, whether you know very little or whether you know a lot, like whether you're an expert, you have a lot of skills or anything, they have like a place for you and like where to like start organizing or where to start learning or anything like that. So definitely a good starting place.
Yeah, another organization that I would recommend is probably 350 PDX. They have so many cool campaigns, and I've met some really cool people from that organization. So, yeah.
I also, I want to acknowledge that Sunrise is a really white organization. Like I love them, and they're like all youth, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's really white. If you're a BIPOC youth and you want to get involved, I'd also recommend like the Youth Environmental Justice Alliance. Which is Yesia, and they're from Opal. There's also Ally at Apana, which is the Asian and Pacific American Network of Oregon. Also, if you're a Pacific Islander, the Pacific Climate Warriors, which is a branch of 350 PDX, and they do a lot of really amazing work.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many organizations. It's so exciting. I've heard 350 be mentioned a couple times, and I wanted to give a shout out to 350 PDX really quick. They were a huge sponsor and supporter of this event, and a big reason why I didn't give up on doing this panel, and I'm really excited that I didn't. I was wondering, someone who's involved in their work, could you tell me a little bit about 350 PDX?
Yeah, so last year I worked with them a little bit on Earth Day. I got to like hop in on their meetings and stuff. I met some really cool people. Everyone was super chill, super nice. Then I went to a general meeting, I think just a couple of weeks ago, where they talked about their plans. They had some great speakers, and you get to sign up for, they have a lot of volunteer opportunities where you can actually work on a team, or you can just work on smaller little events. They have a lot of opportunities to volunteer, and I totally recommend. The people are great.
Yeah, they also do a lot of work in divestment with like Chase Bank. And I think sure you can talk more about this, but like Zenith or something. I'm not sure if that work is, I don't know what it's at, like where it's at currently.
I wouldn't say I'm totally up to date on what's happening right now, but in the past, I'm positive like 350 PDX has like worked with the city to get Zenith, I guess, like removed from Portland and to have them stop exporting tar sands from Portland to other places in the country. 350 PDX, I think they do a lot of different kind of stuff, but like Yenna said, a lot of divestment is their big goal.
Yeah, I can talk on the Chase, what they're doing with Chase. So actually with our EJC club at Lincoln, we did a day where we just wrote letters to the president of JP Morgan Chase. And we did that all through 350, and it was really cool. Everyone was super into it. And then actually a bunch of people from 350 went to the different banks, and I think they gave a letter out to them, and they just spoke what they were saying, like all the things that were wrong with Chase, how they're the #1 funder of fossil fuels in the whole world, and how there's so many things that are wrong with that for obvious reasons. And so, yeah, I think that's some of the things they're doing. They might be doing more, but that's all I know.
I think they're also doing work with the Portland Clean Energy Fund and also the Oregon Green New Deal. I think those are the campaigns and like kind of work they're doing.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, well, proud to have them as a sponsor and a supporter. Thank you again to 350. As we talk about some campaigns and stuff, what are some campaigns that you all, specifically ones that you all have worked on, but that you felt have been really successful and I don't know, with really good outputs? Even just to break it down a little bit more, something that you're proud of.
Okay. I think something that's like a little bit smaller than like a lot of the things that I guess have like worked on or worked with people on was like a little camp that me and Holly organized over not this summer, but last summer, I think. And so we had a youth activist camp where we had a bunch of kids and we taught them about climate justice and like gave them foundations to what climate justice is, what racial justice is, and just like talking about like intersectionality and stuff like that and what they can do to get started in organizing and stuff like that. And I think a big output that came out of that was the students that attended the camp were able to go back to their middle schools and their high schools and start their own like environmental justice clubs. And most specifically, there was a student that went to Harriet Tubman and she went back to protest freeway expansion that would have caused more pollution for their school, because Harriet Tubman's like right near I-5 and a freeway expansion would have caused more pollution and more noise pollution for their school. So that's something that I'm very proud of. And like, I was like, I don't know, I smile thinking about that. I'm like, oh my God, like I was able to like help that happen and like help inspire this person. So yeah.
Yeah, most recently I worked on the PDX Youth Climate Summit, it came from the climate emergency resolution that the city passed, and they gave us the opportunity. Part of it was like, so much of it was advocated for by the Portland Youth Climate Council. And so they gave, one of the conditions that they wanted in was having this summit for like local youth to join together, learn, and like build a community together. And that just happened on December 12th. It was really amazing. There were like 200 people there. And even on Zoom, like people were so engaged and like excited to learn about the movement and how to get involved. And I was really proud of that work that we did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Shreya. That's the first thing that came to my mind, was the camp, because yeah, for the same reasons, you said it well, but and it was just very rewarding because it started off as just like an idea, like, okay, we want to do something. How about a camp? And then, as it got more momentum, and this was only with like 5-6 people, sometimes less. And we just, organized a whole camp, and it was so inspiring to see like young kids come and want to do this, and like they're passionate about it. So yeah, being able to give a space for that and participate in that was definitely what I'm most proud of in my work so far.
Yeah, I would say something I'm proud of isn't the biggest thing, but I remember this one time after a protest, someone came up to me. I was wearing a shirt that said, "I will be 23 when my climate fate is sealed." And they were they were really intrigued by my shirt, and we just had this really cool conversation. I was able to say all this cool stuff that I learned about through these organizations and through class, and I think I really had an impact on that person. So that was super cool.
I wanted to add on, because Rena, I forgot about it, but we worked on, thank you to Shreya for all the work you did when you were a PPS student, and Holly and Annika. I think like the Lincoln class had a lot to do with it, but we got to, this past summer, design the class, the curriculum for the climate justice elective. And I'm really proud of that because it's in schools right now being taught. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that because that was also a really big win of like last year of getting climate education from kindergarten to 12th grade. That's a really big deal. So definitely proud of that as well.
Yeah, I'd have to add, that was probably my proudest moment in climate justice work, was getting to work on that elective. And it's so fascinating to hear from all of you, like what has inspired you and motivated you. And I think it's great that it's the little things and seeing the impact that you had on individuals. It's so important to hear that you inspired someone or you motivated them. And I guess that actually transitions well into my next question. Is there anyone in your life and your work that has inspired you and motivated you and been kind of a role model in activism?
I would say my biggest motivator and the people who inspired me the most were my peers, for sure. Definitely the senior class above me was super involved in EJC, and they were in my classes and in my clubs, and just watching them, like, they're always older than me, and I guess older kids always are doing the most. Yeah, they were just so inspiring. They're always doing such crazy things, and I never thought I was like I could do that. And watching them definitely inspired me to do more.
I've been lucky throughout my climate justice journey to kind of just gain a lot of mentors along the way. And the thing is, they're not even like, they're literally like 24, 23 or something, all of them. And they're so amazing. Like their jobs, like all they do, like their free time, like what they spend is like really helping the community and doing like the important work. And it's like Anna Kemper from like Sunrise, and like Indy Keith and Maura Campler. I'm sorry, I'm trying to name them. And also Misha Belden. Yeah, Shreya knows Misha. they're all so amazing, and they're so dedicated to the work, and they give me such good advice. And I think that's so important, is like also kind of like Anna was talking about, like the older kids, like having that kind of those lessons passed down is a really cool part of getting involved in this work. It's like getting to know these really cool people and learning from them.
Yeah, I feel like throughout my climate activist journey these past 2 years, I've had so many mentors. Like, I can't even, there's a lot. Like, I don't even know how to name all of them, but I'll name a few. I would say like Tim Swinehart, who is, he was my high school teacher, but he was also like, he was just a full like rock star. He did everything. Like, he organized, he wrote a book, he like teaches classes, and he like talks to kids. He does everything. Another person would be, oh my God, the name has just escaped me. Oh, Susie Kassouf of Sunrise Movement. She is a bundle of joy, and I always look at her for when I'm like feeling super hopeless, and I like talk to her for even just like 30 seconds. I feel so hopeful about everything that's going on. So I think she's definitely one of like a good role model to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also had too many to count, but I'd say, of course, like what you guys said, I agree. But also the women that we helped organize the camp with, Erica and Cheryl and Jane, they were like super awesome because they all kind of came from different things that they were doing, and they just decided to help support us in whatever we wanted to do, like literally whatever. And that was just like such, I really look up to that. Like, you can just help people, and it makes a huge difference, and you never know what it's going to turn into. So I'm really thankful for them for just teaching me that, like, whatever you set your mind to, you can do.
Amazing. Yeah. And I guess switching gears a little bit, a large part of this organization that did this event, Youth Power PDX, is intersectional youth power, and this is such a age-old quality in climate justice, intersectionality, that is. So I wanted to know, what role does intersectionality play in climate justice activism for you?
I think that's like the whole point behind saying like climate justice. Like, it's about recognizing that existing inequalities within our society are exacerbated and perpetuated by climate change, and they impact the most vulnerable communities the most. I think it's all about intersectionality. This issue intersects with so many others.
Yeah, and I think especially because the climate movement is so white, it's very saturated with just one identity. Um, it's extra important to always be like recentering back on intersectionality, because for me, like when I think of intersectional youth power, it's like we are, our differences like make us stronger, but you have to be making sure that you are, having diverse, different perspectives and different identities working together, and actually listening and like respecting one another, and yeah, just like really working together to be stronger.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say that the climate movement itself is just really white. I think those are the voices that just get centered the most. Like, there are so many communities that are all like frontline communities that are already doing the work on their own. Like, they're and then often they get overpowered, or like the voices that get represented the most, and in the media especially. Like, Greta Thunberg is this amazing activist, but there are also so many other BIPOC activists who are doing such important work, but she is spotlighted the most. Like, she's the most famous one, and that isn't necessarily like she's doing amazing work, but it's also, there's like reasons for that. Like, there are reasons why the other ones aren't given as much attention.
Yeah, adding on to what other people were saying, I think one of the biggest themes that we studied in high school in my class last year was this intersectionality between race and climate change. And one thing that stood out to me the most, and I'd like to say on this platform, is that there's power in numbers. And if we intersect movements, there's more change going to happen and more impact.
Yeah, I think what intersectionality like means to me is that I'm fully aware that our world, our life is very, very complicated, made up of a bunch of systems, made up of a bunch of structures, and everything is intersectional. It's not just the climate movement, but every single thing that we talk about, we live, we breathe is intersectional. And I think with youth power specifically, it's like if we're going to fight for a future that we all want cohesively, like we all want it, then we all have to be fighting together, and we all have to like build a future that is accessible by everyone of all backgrounds.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, and I'm just noticing like throughout even education, I don't know, the only education for climate change and justice that I had in schools was these white savior movies. And you know, it's fascinating to see more so hope, and you know, hopefully much more as we move forward, how we can see that these frontline communities are taking these battles into their own hands, because they already were, and that those climate activists are being highlighted more. So a little bit more personally, I'm wondering, how does everyone's, you know, your personal identity play a role in your climate justice activism?
Yeah, so I'm a first generation American. So my parents immigrated from India, and my grandpa's a farmer in India. And just recently I was like on the phone with my grandparents, and they were talking about how floods in India that have been caused by climate change have actually caused a lot of their crops, like they can't sell their crops anymore and they can't make any money. And the way that they described how much was like mind blowing to me. It was 3 like truckload full of like vegetables that they had just harvested that are all gone because of climate change and or floods that were caused by climate change. So I think that specifically has like molded my identity, and just like how I've been able to see like from just I get to see like my grandparents like having to be on the front line of climate change and having to deal with that has definitely shaped like how much I want to fight for this and how much I want this. And yeah.
In my experience, like for at least with like when I first got started, a lot of the youth climate justice scene was kind of dominated by these white boys, and they really it wasn't like my identities, it was like something I chose for them to be involved in my work and part of my work. Like I didn't choose that, but it was just inevitable because the default had always been what I wasn't. And I kind of I wanted to represent my communities and be there for them, and also like include them in the narrative when they weren't being included. I don't know if this is something you guys can relate to, but yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, Yenna. I think in every single place I've been, there's always been someone who is white, someone who is identifies as a boy, who has always talked over me in some situation, and it sucks. And I think, yeah, we shouldn't be having to deal with that anymore. Okay, one experience I can relate to my identity is that I'm also a first generation American. So both my parents grew up different parts of the world, but they are originally from Sri Lanka, which is a small island. And islands are being affected the most right now by climate change. And so every time I go there, the island is completely different, and the vegetation is different, and the biodiversity is different. That's really disappointing to see, for sure.
I think for me, if I'm being honest, it's my identity and how I interact with this work. It's like evolved so much from when I first started this work and what I'm doing now. I think because there is so much like white savior representation in the media, I used to have this image of, oh, I can fix this. I can, like all on my own, or I have the answers. And as I did more and more work and got more and more educated, I realized, we don't really need more of this kind of representation of people who look like me. Like, that's not my role in this movement, like, is to be front and center. And I think I relate to what you're saying with those white boys a lot that were, wanting to be front and center because they felt like they had something important to say that no one else could say, or they could say it better. And I don't think they had bad intentions, but again, it's looking at your identity and taking a step back and seeing maybe where you're hurting someone or pushing another person's voice down. So I think now I try to listen more than I talk, and like listen, truly have empathy, and like not push my thoughts on other people, and slow down enough to breathe before I'm getting intense or wanting to share something.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you're talking about, empathy and listening and stepping down or stepping up, I'm curious what I guess morals or values that your activism work have given to you or influenced, have you been able to apply in other places in your life? Or just basically, what principles and values has your work specifically in climate justice activism developed?
I think it's giving me, or like made me realize how much I value community, how much I value the support, or like giving support and having like receiving or support from people that are around me, and just witnessing all these organizers I know constantly be out protesting, constantly being out trying to provide mutual aid for those who need it. And I just see that, and I think that's so amazing. And that's what's so inspiring me, is that they're doing this, it's not like out of a selfish need. They're doing it genuinely, like just to like provide aid for those who need it. And that's like a value. I think that's one of my core values now, when it wasn't necessarily like something I even really thought about, was how important community was.
Yeah, to kind of go off of that, I feel like I also learned that I definitely value a community a lot. And also just the same thing that Anika was saying earlier, like there is power in numbers. And I think I realized that I don't like to do things alone. I like to work with others. I like to build things with others. I like to discuss things with others rather than doing it alone. And I think that's something that I definitely realized about myself through this line of work.
Yeah, something that I feel like is really core to my beliefs now is slowing down and doing it the right way rather than just trying to get it done in any way you can. Because usually that, leaves kind of some issues. Maybe it's not a holistic solution like you might have wanted to be. So I think slowing down, talking to people, working with other people, discussing, which can be hard because you want, you have all these great ideas you want to push through, but like really taking your time and working with others.
Yeah, adding on to that, I remember when I first started and we would do these community building activities, and I'd be like, oh my God, I really dislike this. And I would complain inside of my head. But then what I learned from that is to step back and stop rushing through everything, like what Holly said, and that I can get so much more out of this if I participate and like really enjoy these activities than just, getting work done. Because there's so many cool people in the room with you who share similar ideas, and you should get to know them. And it was just it's a great community.
Yeah, sorry, were you gonna say something? And I was talking about this earlier, but kind of the combination of the values of like community and like radical optimism, like with Sunrise, and just, I think it's really like a value that has become kind of about survival for me, about like, you know, there's so much going on in the world at once, and there's so much that we as youth are constantly thinking about, constantly dealing with. I think our generation is like the most radicalized one yet, just and socially aware. But just having that like knowledge that there's a community of people there for you, and having that value of like believing, you know, in the end things are going to be okay is just so important. I feel it in my work.
Absolutely. I guess one of my last questions for tonight, thank you so much everyone, is what basic advice would you have to an aspiring climate justice advocate or someone who wanted to be an ally of the movement?
Just join a local organization or find a space where there's youth, like a club or something at your school, with like-minded people. Just start getting involved like any way that you can. There's so many ways to do that. Like I said, like really finding what your strengths are, like what part of them, like what part you think you can contribute. Yeah.
I think my advice is easier said than done, but definitely works if you kind of do it, is if you're feeling super hopeless about everything that's going on in the world, just do something. Just do something. Just join an organization. Just do something to make yourself feel better. And that will definitely help, because even little things definitely add up and make a difference.
I'd say probably lean into whatever discomfort you're feeling, because I think every time you do, and it's like, even doing this panel, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna say? This is scary. And then, you know, you get here and you do it, and then you're proud of yourself, you know, like, but it was uncomfortable. But that's where a lot of the best things, and I think life happen, especially organizing. So, and just know if it's like your first time, it's a lot of people's first times too. So you're never gonna be like alone in that at all. So yeah, lean into the discomfort and you're not alone.
Yeah, I would add on to what Hallie was saying, that you're gonna make so many mistakes. I made so many mistakes, and that shouldn't stop you from being bold and passionate. Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to quickly really emphasize the fact that Holly said that you're not alone. You're not alone. Like, really drive that point home. You're not alone. We're all in this together.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to add or shout out?
Thank you to this tech support that are currently on the call with us right now for the work they're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. This was incredibly inspiring. I was right to be so excited about having you all to speak today, and I loved hearing about your work. I'd like to give another shout out to 350 PDX for the sponsor, and another shout out yet again to you all. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for doing this, Runa.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.